Hello. My time starts now. Our firm against whichever team can prove that they can provide safety for the civilians economically and physically shall win this debate. We have three contentions. First, environmental damages. Second, illegal transactions. And third, insecurity. And third, systematic risk. My first contention. According to Money CNN, mainstream media views the Bitcoin environmental impact largely in a negative way. Critics say that cryptocurrency is a fraud and they warn of a bubble. Environmentalists worry about another risk, that it's seriously hurting the efforts to combat climate change. Bitcoin is slowing down the efforts to achieve a rapid transition away from fossil fuels, meteorologist Eric Halthus wrote in an article on environmental news this Christmas week. Unlike the dollar or the pound, these virtual coins are tied to a central bank. Instead, coins are mined by computers. The vast data centers guzzles huge amounts of energy. Bitcoin uses about 32 terawatts of energy every year, enough to power 3 million US households, according to the Bitcoin Energy Consumption Index, published by Digitonomist, a website focused on digital currencies. By comparison, processing the billions of Visa-V transactions that take place each year consumes the same amount of power just as 50,000 American homes, with a significant change in how transactions are processed. Bitcoins could be consuming enough electricity to power the US by the middle of 2019. 6 months later, that demand could equal the world's power consumption. The fact that most Bitcoin is mined in China is also fueling environmental concerns. Our world is in danger, and the pro team suggests that cryptocurrencies, which has fossil fuels, is beneficial. Moving on to my second contention, hackers can actually hack into transactions. Reports circulated widely after 2014, the Mt. Gox heist indicates that hackers have been trying to get into the system for almost a year. And when they did, they made off with 850,000 Bitcoins. At today's value, it would be worth 7.2 billion US dollars. Cryptocurrency thefts do occur from time to time, even when blockchain is supposed to be more secure in the means of transmitting and storing money. In January, the biggest crypto theft in history was reported by the Japanese cryptocurrency exchange CoinCheck. All told, cybercriminals absconded with 523 million NEM coins, worth $534 million at the time. Also, between 2011 and 2014, hackers slowly bled Bitcoin from Mt. Gox, which at the time was handling 70% of all Bitcoin trading volume. The roughly 850,000 Bitcoin that hackers stole would be worth around $7 billion at today's Bitcoin price. If your coins were stolen, there may be little recourse to get them back. What is most important? The potential harms of illegal trade or a person's privacy that is used for the bad. Thus, Bitcoin is not government supported, so they are harder to manage, and they are also used on the internet. Also, if the governments can see the transaction, it would be a violation of privacy, which therefore contradicts. Moving on to my third contention, the scale of cryptocurrencies would be massive. According to the conversation, for Libra alone, Facebook already has 2.4 billion monthly users, while WhatsApp has 1.5 billion, especially if Facebook leverages its relationship with 7 million advertisers and over 90 million small businesses. Libra is likely to be global in a very short space of time. This has serious implications for global financial stability and systematic risk. Libra is clearly in need of proper global regulation, but this doesn't really exist and is highly unlikely to emerge next year. Even before Libra was released, the lack of global regulation of cryptocurrencies already has a virtual topic. Discussions between current countries and the main institutions involved in international finance are also taking place to address this. Therefore, we believe that cryptocurrencies are time starts now. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges and opponents, I am Irene Park, and I'm the first speaker of the pro team. Supporting the motion cryptocurrency is more beneficial than harmful. In this debate, we have referred to the term beneficial as supporting of a world that is constantly developing and improving. This is our reference, as we believe that it is impossible to achieve a perfect world. To begin with, I'd like to briefly go over our points. So, first of all, no fee transactions. So with cryptocurrency, you don't have fees for transactions. With traditional banks, oftentimes to make larger transactions, you have to be at a certain place at a certain time. Working with a bank means you have to follow their rules, pay whatever fees are requested from transaction fees, maintenance, overdraft to minimum balance, checking hard copy statement, etc. Most of which are affairs average people don't always think about. Think about what this could mean and what a bank could do as a result. According to Investopedia, a source that we can clarify as well, the average monthly maintenance fee is more than $13 a month, and with credit cards. For a month, and with credit cards, a bank will typically charge somewhere from 0.7% to 1.8% of the amount you're transferring per every single transaction you make. But with cryptocurrency, it is renowned that there is little to no fees, with the average fee per transaction approximately being $1.63 and the median fee having been $0.88 over the past 5 years. Cryptocurrency is undoubtedly significantly cheaper and a more affordable option for many. So contention number two, efficiency and security. Cryptocurrency's main feature is decentralization. This not only makes the currency immune to inflation, but also means that that it's more accessible worldwide. Cryptocurrency is also secure due to its complicated coding and system. When it comes to efficiency, according to CNBC, it takes 3 to 5 working days for banks to transfer money globally. However, in average, it only takes cryptocurrency 2 minutes and 39 seconds for each transaction. This difference is huge. Compared to traditional money making and supporting a more connected and international world. Traditional money can be lost, physically stolen, and fabricated. Stealing money on a larger scale can lead to detrimental effects like panic, causing stock prices to fall and the economy to suffer. Cryptocurrency is not only impossible to fabricate, harder to steal, but also more direct. But due to its core design, payments and transitions are direct and more simple, meaning that users cannot be ripped off in a transaction like you can with legal payments. Combats oppression. So cryptocurrency is one of the most innovative solutions to global repression. It's a universal repressor of government corruption, poverty, financial oppression, and more. Venezuela is an example of how cryptocurrency can be used to combat corruption. According to a news outlet, Al Dia, the country has reached an overall inflation rate of 50 million% since 2016. One of the key factors is excessive money printing and a massive scale, a form of governmental corruption. As cryptocurrency isn't affected by inflation due to its decentralized nature, it is being used more commonly amongst the masses to reduce the effects of inflation. More than 1.3 billion people live in extreme poverty, and nearly half of the world population fall below the poverty line. Cryptocurrency is needed for this. Thank you so much for listening. My question for you is, if the environment is already at risk, why do you have cryptocurrencies to further damage our planet? We see the benefits of cryptocurrency. Yes, on one side, there may be environmental effects, but the world, like you said yourself, is moving towards a less fossil fuel focused source, way of producing electricity. Also, there are renewable sources at hand, and you said yourself that the world is moving towards a direction where we are trying to consider the environment, so we don't see this as a problem. Now I think it's our turn to ask you a question. So our question would be, if you don't have a question, I'll ask another one. No, we have a question. We'd like to take your time. Okay. So you said that in China, you said that in China, this is where most of cryptocurrency mining happens. Are you aware that renewable energy, China is one of the biggest renewable energy users in the world right now? I did not specifically say that China. I said that China is one of the many countries that approve of. That's not what you said. Bitcoin of mining, but also I'd like to elaborate. So does Ireland and Iceland and Canada. They also. Can you provide us with statistical information or information about Iceland using renewable Okay. According to Kato.org. According to what? Kato. Okay, my question for you is that since I mentioned in my speech that there's already a lot of hacking, for example, the MT-GOX Heist, how can you provide safety for the users in cryptocurrency? The users are secure from their identity being stolen. So yeah. Okay, so I mentioned in my speech that a lot of identities are stolen for the bad, and also in banks, banks are more beneficial. Sorry for interrupting, but identities can't be stolen. Okay, well, according for banks, a lot of banks, if there's robbery, then there's at least a camera and there's prevention from.
Okay, so my time starts now. I'm a second speaker on the Conti. I'm here to rebut several points that the pro team has made. So first, since the pro team did not give us a framework, so I believe that this debate will be based on the Conti's framework to prove the safety for people both physically and economically. And now, first, so their team stated that cryptocurrency will be very secure. Well, I disagree that it's actually safe for the use of people globally. As cryptocurrencies have become more popular and therefore is used by a much wider audience, they have eventually become the focus of cyber attack. According to Imporo.com, there have been several high-profile cryptocurrency attacks over the last couple of years in which cryptocurrency owners have lost their coins and been unable to get them back, meaning that there will be no funds after losing all your cryptocurrencies. Please also recognize that these markets span national borders and that significant trading may occur on systems and platforms outside the United States. Jay Clayton, the Agency Securities and Exchange Commission chairman, said, your invested funds may quickly travel overseas and without your knowledge. As a result, risk can be amplified, including the risk that market regulators such as SEC may not be able to efficiently pursue bad actors or recover funds. Therefore, this is actually there's actually very little or even no ways to guarantee the safety of cryptocurrencies. And second, they talk the other teams about corruption. Well, on opposite, I actually believe that corruption will be even worse with the anonymous feature in cryptocurrency market. Since nobody knows who's behind the transactions and nobody will be able to track down, the ability of cryptocurrencies will be much easier and lead to even more corruption. And that's what they're saying. And they also kept saying that there will be so many corruptions with the different banks, but however, they never gave the examples of how corruption actually happened within the banks. And in addition, the volatility of cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies with such extreme volatility does not allow for regular use. Their numbers and values can be widely changed, and this is why it is impossible to use a currency if you cannot reliably determine its long-term value. According to VLSEU.org, for fiat money, the central banks are committed to keeping its value at a decreasing rate of 2% per year. The major central banks have been quite successful at keeping their tracking error small for a long time. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are such inferior and in this regard. Their value doubles or halves in just a few days. One cannot say with any degree of certainty that one's holding a cryptocurrencies will hold their value for the next month or not to mention a year. And that would lead to major financial issues and even crisis. Furthermore, cryptocurrencies will actually increase the monopoly and the gap. Here there actually will be monopolies in the cryptocurrencies world. Big cryptocurrency players have been accused of price manipulation, and their confidence have been shaken the whole cryptocurrencies market. No central government makes bitcoins. Instead, Bitcoin mining involves with a graphics card used to solve math equations, which takes a ton of electricity. Bitcoin users like to imagine the lack of centralization made the currency fairer somehow, but in reality, the Bitcoin mining process is totally inaccessible to most people, with the wealthy buying incredibly expensive computer hardware to mine way more coins than regular person will have. Therefore, those who are rich dominants in this economy will have the power to changing values of cryptocurrencies however they want, since they are the ones who holds most or even all of the cryptocurrencies. And this will also further increase the gap between the rich and the poor. Other than this reason, there are actually many more reasons that cryptocurrencies will lead to financial crisis. For example, the cryptocurrency market bubble. The cryptocurrency bubble has actually already popped and will pop again.
I'm the second speaker from the Pro team, and first I would like to start by rebutting some of the points made by the Con team. The Conti mentioned a lot about the environmental damage done by cryptocurrency. However, they fail to recognize the increasing use of renewable energy in cryptocurrency. So according to research by the University of Washington, 77.6% of crypto mining facilities are now consuming electricity derived from renewable resources. They also have private gain from using renewable energy, as it is cheaper to mine cryptocurrency in renewable energy. They also fail to mention how actual fiat currency also has a lot of, like production of banknotes also uses a lot of energy and releases a giant carbon footprint. For example, more than 70% of the energy used to produce the cash notes come from an incinerator plant on site, which reduces, fumes fossil fuels, which again leaves a giant carbon footprint. So therefore, we believe that that point is not valid. They also meant their main point was China. However, the Sichuan province, which accounts for more than 70% of China's, more than 80% of China's Bitcoin mining operations, generates approximately 90% of its energy from renewable resources like hydropower and solar power. So it could be argued that cryptocurrency is actually more renewable than traditional fiat currencies. Next, they talk about monopolies in cryptocurrency. However, the monopolies are also increasingly being seen in traditional society as well. Right now, Amazon has a 49% share in the market, and this could further be increased soon, which could also affect the people massively and have an increased gap between rich and poor, as the opponent mentioned. Then they also talked about the security and safety. However, they fail to mention the misgivings of traditional fiat currencies and how unsafe they are. For example, 60 million people in America are affected by identity theft. And this is just a statistic just from America and not from other parts of the country. This is a huge number. That means that every 2 seconds someone is affected by identity theft. However, this is very rare. Identity theft specifically is very rare in cryptocurrency due to there not being due to there being high levels of anonymity created and the user not having to put any personal details except their transaction number. We would further like to talk about our fourth contention point, which is security of identity. Globally as a society, we're moving in a direction where technology dictates our lives, and identity theft is a growing issue, as I mentioned. With increased use of media, we're able to obtain even the smallest details of people we don't even know in real life. A click of a screen can teach you about a person's location, nationality, family relations, and more. To put a number onto this, it happens every 2 seconds, like I mentioned. In today's world, you're more likely to have your identity stolen than your car taken or home burglarized. It can take up to 3 months for a person to realize that their identity has been stolen, and the impacts are detrimental. 140 million hours is taken on average to address the issue, with the average cost of $225, a number still growing. However, with cryptocurrency, even in the case of fraud or theft, like I said, you're protected. You have full control for the amount and variety of information, if any at all, you choose to share. The very fact that even illegal activity can be relied on cryptocurrency reflects the extent of identity security cryptocurrency offers. Thank you.
Okay, so in 2008 Asia economy crisis, the Chinese government bought bonds and invested in Hong Kong, who was in serious financial danger, and brought them back to life. However, how can cryptocurrencies be saved, like Hong Kong in this case, after they start to face crisis? Since there's no government interference.
That is a pro, as cryptocurrency can be so the people can save cryptocurrency themselves, and we are also considering thousands of different types of cryptocurrency. So it is unlikely that that all of cryptocurrency might fall. As just like money, it's unlikely that all the currency in the world would reduce the value of zero.
No, it's unlike money, because cryptocurrency's volatility is much more unstable than just normal money, because as I stated in my rebuttal speech, the banks keeps the traditional currencies value stable at a decreasing rate of 2% per year. However, cryptocurrencies the value can be changed from by a few $1,000s to just a few cents.
However,
in a span of 2 to
we
3
see
days.
that as a benefit as well. It's because it's high risk, high profit as well. So
that's also high risk of losing your money.
However, people don't just have to see cryptocurrency as a traditional currency. They can be used for investment purposes. There are several conferences held across the world to invest in cryptocurrency, which can be used as just another source of investment, along with other fiat currencies. So they don't have to be used in isolation, but they can be used to help the economy.
Okay, what are one of the conferences?
1 second. It's called the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance.
Okay, your question.
Okay. You talk about how volatility is used. However, there's huge corruption caused by the inflation of government. How would you suggest, combating inflation? And why would you want to eradicate cryptocurrency when it is helping people with inflation, combat inflation?
Okay, so are you saying that people are going to use it globally, as cryptocurrencies?
Yes.
Well, actually, so do you believe that with such high rates of volatility changes, it's better than inflation?
That is not what I'm saying. I asked you a question. I would like an answer to that question. My time starts now. Throughout the debate, we found 3 clash points. First, fraud. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, flat out warned investors that their hands are tied. There's little they can do if fraud should occur. A December 2017 statement from SEC Chairman Jay Clayton notes that decentralized exchanges and trading can often exist outside the confines of the borders, and since a number of digital currency transactions are designed to be anonymous, recovering your investments may not be possible. According to the perspective, today's banks promise security through technology. Banks protect clients by offering highly encrypted digital transactions, early fraud warnings, and as of late, biometrics. Victims of digital fraud are protected by banks and by the FTC, which imposes limitations on customer liabilities. Recognitions of vital roles banks play in securing individual livelihoods as well as the broader economy has led governments in the North of America and Europe to ensure depositors keeping money in the bank far less riskier than cryptocurrencies. Banks can at least potentially refund the money if it was stolen. If hackers hack accounts and identities for the bad, there's absolutely zero trace and the money has zero possibility of being given back. The ultimate goal of a government is to protect their citizens. If illegal trade is occurring behind the government's back, this puts their citizens in danger, which contradicts to our framework. Only a small percentage of electricity used by cryptocurrencies is renewable energy. A 2018 report from the University of Cambridge, for example, found that the majority of Bitcoin mining facilities drew on renewable to some extent. The average share was just 28%. And another emerging concern around Bitcoin is the electronic waste. The mining devices quickly go to absolute. Even in under 2 years, they can't be repurposed for anything other than mining. That's carbon output attached to this as well, and that's something no matter how much amount of green energy can fix. Cryptocurrencies get hacked, creates risks to our environment, and has a high risk of failing. These are not benefits. In fact, they are harmful to our environment. In China, which leads by Bitcoin mining, 60% of the energy comes from coal. Even if the mining has clean power, it carries the opportunity cost not using said power for greener purposes, such as charging electric cars, which replace fossil fuel guzzling vehicles. Bitcoin is a colossal waste of energy that will soon be no more. Good riddance, quoted Tree Hugger.